If you think that's just a regular old neon, think again. That is an SRT4. Hey, what's up? I'm Bruce. Welcome back to East Coast Garage. And today we're going over one of the most underrated sports cars of the early 2000s. And we're also going to talk about why we think this is a better value for under 10 grand if you're getting into a tuner car in 2025. Joining me is Joe from Rev Nation, the owner of this SRT4 Neon. You can't deny the impact that these made on these sports compact cars of the early 2000s. We were looking at the era of WRXs and Evo 8s were huge at the time. On a straight line, this little rental car would embarrass them in those days, you know?
Yeah, I destroyed so many cars during my heyday back in like 2003, 2004 era. Everything from 911s to Mustangs, Camaros, you name it. And I would walk them in my other version of this car. And I would always love to tell them how much I paid for it at the end of that.
Yeah, yeah, because speaking of price, this is 2025. You can get these cars for under 10 grand. They might be a little clapped out. $7,500 SRT4. It's gonna need a little bit of TLC, but you still have the good bones of it. You know, you've got the turbo 2.4, just the overall styling. You just don't see these every day, and I love the way they sound. We got a 2.4 liter front wheel drive turbo 4-cylinder. They made around 230 horsepower, 250 foot-pound of torque. Some sources say they go to 0 to 60 in 5.6. Some say 5.3, which the 2004 and 2005s had a little bit more power with a little bit bigger injectors.
Yep.
So for what it's worth, these are a little bit quicker. They were high 13 to low 14 second cars in a quarter mile.
Yeah.
And that was just crazy for the time for a 4-cylinder sports compact car. I mean, you're looking at low 15s for a Civic Si of that day. And a Civic Si was the same price. One of the other cool parts, Mopar offered stage packages from the factory with these cars that back in the day, if you had a Mopar technician install the Mopar stage kits, it would not void the warranty.
Yeah, this one here, we actually have the stage 2 option, and that is a really, really cool one. It's kind of pretty rare, actually. It seems like a lot of folks went either stage 1 or all the way to stage 3.
Right.
There's not a lot of us stage 2s floating around anymore. And I think it's kind of the sweet spot. You got the best of both worlds there.
I completely agree. The stage 2 does have really the best of both worlds. I mean, you're looking at reliability also, you know.
Before, I think that this car dynoed with what we currently have set up. I didn't do it, the previous owner did. 289 horsepower and 314 pounds of torque to the wheels.
Wow.
So
that's impressive.
Yeah, and that's just with stage 2 and full bolt-ons. That was on 100 octane.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw the information out there for all the different stage kits, because like we said, this is a stage 2, but what exactly does that mean? You know, so here's some of the details.
And with those stages, Mopar did produce kind of the badge of honor, right? That you would put underneath your SRT logo on the back of the car. A lot of the people, they would put a stage question mark, right? When they were running all sorts of different modifications.
And then the other cool part was the scoop and these 2 air vents, and then the big front mount. Everybody knew when you drove by that this thing was turbocharged.
Absolutely. I don't think that there's anything that I would change about this design on the front end. You see and the Neon was always kind of like a running joke about this, right? Like it had the bug eyes and the little kind of face looking front end. And this takes that and it just makes it angry.
I feel like most of these were that metallic blue and you didn't see as many of the burnt orange ones. So
yeah. So they did a specialty color each year for this. So in 2003, it was the solar yellow. In 2004, you're talking about the electric blue, and that was a highly produced vehicle. They're all over the place. And then for the 2005 model, we have the Orange Blast Pearl here. I will take this to a Cars and Coffee, and I swear it steals the entire show. I've got like a soup kitchen line walking up to talk to me about this car, even when I was sitting next to a Viper at one point.
Wow.
And people were like, this is 10 times more rare than these Vipers these days at these like events and stuff. They were like, we literally haven't seen one of these in 2 years.
Wow.
Let alone one this nice.
One thing that I actually appreciate about the interior is the simplicity of it. Like, it doesn't have all the extra stuff. It has the essentials. Nothing over the top. It's comfortable. It rides good. It's quiet.
Yep.
No drone. You know, you've got a factory boost gauge in the car. And what's cool is I like how they did it so that it isn't integrated into the dash and it looks like it's already modified.
There's not a lot that I would change about this interior, you know, with the exception of maybe adding cruise control. That's not really an interior thing, but as far as the layout, it's functional. There's buttons for everything. You've even got like the 6-disc changer. This came with the factory upgraded kicker stereo system to where you get actual, looks like almost an aftermarket kicker subwoofer and amp, but the interior is held up well. Talk about comfort. These are Viper inspired seats.
One of the fun facts about these cars is Mopar did not install a rear sway bar from the factory in order to combat the torque steer from the front wheel drive system.
Yep, so mine actually has an aftermarket sway bar installed. It's a Mopar version, so
oh, cool.
They made it for it, right?
Yeah.
So when you use the shorter sway bar links that came with it, it does even out the ride height a little bit.
Oh,
One of the big complaints about this car, and people are always talking smack, is that it's set up really high in the rear end as a result of that removal, right? And the struts that they were using. Yeah, a lot of folks wanted to lower it, and then they ended up slamming it and just really, really clapping these things out, right? For my own personal use, I've probably had at least 60 cars that were for me. And tons of those were sports cars with a bunch of mods and all of that crap. I have had everything from 911s and Caymans, and I've had a Lotus at one point. So why would I get out of my 600 horsepower Camaro and be searching on Facebook for SRT4s at night? Like, what sense does that make? Right? But it was this rawness. There's something about these cars that you just can't get. Like, think about the Civic Type R, the FK8, I believe it's called. They tried so hard to mimic a lot of the stuff that this car was doing. You can argue that they made the suspension and things better, and they did, but there was just something missing. The car didn't feel as fast. It didn't smack you around like this one does. Like, you had a far more muted experience. And that was the story in almost every single one of my cars. And once you had this, particularly some of the models that I had that were putting out, 400 wheel horsepower, you kept chasing the dragon. You were always going after this thing that you lost.
Yeah, it's really hard to go back at that point.
And yes, and that's what kept this car kind of underneath my skin. And that's why I've owned 3 of them. And I talk about that. The second one that I owned was one that was extremely special and well known in the SRT4 community. I had a 2004 Solar Yellow, one of only 107 produced.
Wow.
And one morning when I was living in Honolulu, Hawaii, I was parked in my driveway and I heard a large commotion, and my neighbor, who was drunk, slammed into my SRT4 going like 40 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
And absolutely destroyed the car. But there went a void. And at that time I had bought, WRX 2015 first model year there. That car was just trash, man. Like they had so much sorting out to do. It's like they took a prototype, gave it 2 months to get evaluated, and then just pumped it out on the line, particularly in powertrain. The car just sucked. And it would randomly shut off too. Just going down the highway and boom, goes black. And then it was just kind of one thing after another with that. I knew that I was going to be getting one of these one way or another. And that's a story when I found this car. This is a one-owner car. It had 64,483 miles on it.
Wow.
This was this guy's only car. He raised 2 children with this car. And I see the car and we're talking and he goes, you know, well, do you want to drive it? And I was like, I mean, if you want me to. You know, like, yeah. So I got in the car, drove it for like 3 minutes, and I said, you know, Greg, I'm going to go to the ATM here and give you a nice hefty deposit, and I'll be back here to pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's how it all shook out.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, he gave me a fantastic price on it, man. I paid $7,500 for this car.
Dude, you can't. This is the most fun you're gonna have for $7,500 right here.
Big time.
In a car, at least. One thing that was cool about these cars is just the raw energy that it has. You know, it's still, it has that hybrid feel of it. It's still being a mechanically driven vehicle while still benefiting from newer technology.
Yep.
Compared to new cars that don't even sound real or feel real. It's not loud. It doesn't beat you up driving down the road, but it still handles like a nimble sports car. It makes all the noises that it should make when you want it to make it. I want to get one now. Yeah. You know, so whether you call it a neon or give it the SRT respect that it deserves, there's no doubt that this car is super cool. It's fast, it's affordable, it's fun. Honestly, it's underrated, and I'm curious what you all think. Do you think this car is underrated or overrated? Leave it in the comments below. And if you have one yourself, let us know what you have done to yours and what your favorite thing about it is. Again, I want to thank Joe from Rev Nation, the opportunity for showing us this car, giving us a ride and talking all about it. And also make sure to check out Rev Nation because he puts out some awesome information that is really good to know if you're looking to buy a vehicle. He has all the inside details. He goes through the lots and tells you all the little dirty tricks that the dealerships are trying to play with your wallet. So take a look at that before you buy your next car. It might save you a couple $1,000s, who knows?
Look forward to hearing from you all. Thanks again for having me.
Thanks again, Joe, for showing us your SRT4, and thank you all for checking out this video. Let us know what you think. And if you like four-door sleepers, be sure to check out this 800 horsepower all-wheel drive Civic. It is insane.